Alright. So we've learned two strategies for how to break apart numbers. So kind of look inside and see what these numbers are made of. We've learned how to decompose. Remember that prefix "de" means to kind of do the opposite, and compose means to make. So if we're doing the opposite of making, we're breaking. We're decomposing numbers with base 10 pieces with your math kit or pictures. We've also learned how to do number jumps on a number line, jumping from 0 to 100 like we did in our Amazing Race this morning. Lucy? Doing number jumps on that number line is a great strategy that we've been using. Alright, so we've been talking about how to show a number with base 10 pieces or base 10 drawings by breaking it apart. Now most of you are really good at the standard way, and I might even call it the expanded way, because this is how expanded form looks. So if I were to break apart 36 into easy peasy pieces, what would I do? This should be a review from like even second grade. Maybe even first grade. Grace, what would I do?
You have to take 30 and put it like in one spot, and then take the 6.
Okay, so I would, oh, you're saying if I had a chart like this, tens and ones, I would put,
You put that in an equation, it would be 30 plus 6.
beautiful. So
36.
Grace kind of jumped ahead and she said you might write the equation like this. If I was drawing 30 plus 6, what would that look like? If I was drawing my base 10 pieces for 30 plus 6, McKenna, what would that look like? Okay, well, what would it look like? I'm doing 30 plus 6. What would that look like with base 10 pieces? What piece do you think I would use to represent 30? Probably 10. How many of those would I need? 3. So I'm going to draw my 3 10 rods. And then I have 6. What piece would I use to represent my 6? The ones. And how many of those would I need? 6. Give me a thumbs up if you got that so far. Your brain is happy with that. Alright, now time to make our brain not happy. This is awesome for second grade, but I really want in third grade to challenge your brain. Could we trade out one of our 10s for something else? What could I trade one of my 10s for? Natalie, what could I trade one of my 10s for? I could trade one of my 10s for 10 ones. So I'm still going to break apart 36, but instead of using 3 10s, I'm now only going to use 2 10s. I now have 10 ones because I traded out a 10 rod for 10 ones. Let me draw my 10 ones. 2, 3, 4, 7. Am I done? No. What else do I need? What else am I forgetting? I'm forgetting something. Parker, I'm over here, buddy. Damien, what am I forgetting?
6 ones.
6 ones. to look a little different. What's going to be my tens? Cord? 20, 2 tens, aka 20, plus, now what do I have going on over here? Zoe, what do I have going on with all my ones? How many do I have? Plus 16. If I add up 20 plus 16, I still get my same answer, but is that a different way of looking at it?
Yes.
Yeah, Mason?
You put these on.
We're just sticking with base 10 pieces right now. I'm glad you're thinking about that, and that'll really help you in the amazing race. But right now, let's just stick with base 10 pieces. Show me where you're, with your thumb, where you're feeling. Thumbs down, this one I got no clue. Thumb in the middle, I kind of get it. Thumb up top, this is easy peasy. Let me see everybody's thumb. You don't need to look at other people, I just need to see where you are. Okay. Then if you're midway or down, you need to make sure that you're really paying attention. Alright, you can put your thumb down. We're going to move on to a new problem. I want you to do this in your notebook. So go ahead and draw a T-chart if you haven't. We're going to break apart the number 456. On one side, actually I don't want you to put standard way, even though it is pretty much the normal way. I want you to put expanded. Because when you see it written this way, it's going to be what's called expanded form. Alright, so let's get started on the expanded way. This is how you would normally break apart this number with base 10 pieces. What would you pick up? If I said, here you go, here's this number, break it apart with your base 10 pieces, what would you pick up? Let's start with our hundreds. We need probably hundreds flats. How many would we bring to the table? Dylan, how many hundreds flats would we have? 4. Probably 4. If I'm writing, you're writing. So my equation is going to start with 400. I drew my 400s flats. Not yet, Natalie. Alright. I got my hundreds flats done. What's the next piece that I usually go to after I do my hundreds flat? Tajir, what's next?
Tens.
Tens. How many tens rods do you think I'm going to have for this number if I was doing it just normal? How many?
5.
5. So I have 5 tens, aka, Tajir, what's that number? 50. And then lastly, Zoe, what's the last thing that I need?
6 ones.
I need my ones, my bits, and I need 6 of them. We good with that? We happy? Brain is happy?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now time to make it mad.
Now time to make our brain work a little bit harder. We can exchange a couple of different things. So if I wanted to trade out a 10, what could I trade 1 10 for? If I was going to trade a tens rod, what could I get in exchange? Brian, what could I get? If I traded out 1 10, what would you give me in return?
10 bits.
10 bits, 10 ones. So I could trade a 10. I could, since this is a 3-digit number, trade a 100. If I traded a 100, what would I get in return? What would you give me? If you don't know, look back in your notes. I know we wrote this down last week. If I gave you a 100, what would you give me back if we were trading pieces? Jacob?
You give us back 10 cents.
I could get 10 tens, or if you have just a bazillion bits at your disposal, you could give me, I could give me 100 what? 100 ones. Do you want to draw 100 ones?
No.
Me neither. Let's not make that trade. How about we make the trade of trading out 100 for 10 tens? That's the trade we're going to make. Now I've noticed that some of you start out really well, but then you try to change too much. You try to do too many trades. Just trade one thing. Some of you want to trade something in the hundreds, some of you want to trade something in the tens. Don't make it that crazy. I know it says crazy new way, but it doesn't have to be that crazy. Trade one thing. I'm going to trade 100, and then you're going to give me back my 10 rods. Okay? So I had 4 100s flats. 1, 2, 3, 4. But now I'm trading 1. So Eva, how many am I going to draw now? I had 4, but I'm going to trade out 1. So how many am I going to have?
3.
I'm going to have 3. So I'm going to draw my 300s flats. So I have now, to begin my equation, I only have 300. I know that I made a trade. Eva just told me that I traded one of my hundreds for some tens. How many tens do I need to be worth the same amount? Parker, get out of your desk, or tie on your shoe, or whatever it is. How many tens do I need? Gabriella, how many tens am I going to need to make that trade?
I'm going to need 10.
I'm going to need 10 tens. Go ahead and draw my 10 tens. 1, 2, 3.
Plus.
Hang on. I hear some of you are already ready to go. I just drew my 10 tens for my trade. I traded 100 for my 10 tens. I heard Zoe, though. She was ready to go. She said, plus what, Zoe? That's 6 more. Plus 5 more. Because remember, we had 5 tens already before we made the trade. So now we have to do 5 more tens. It's a lot of tens. 15 tens. What does that equal to? What is that number? Let's skip count together. Ready? 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100, 110, 120, 130, 140, 150. Wow, a lot of tens. Am I done? Nope. I still got one piece left. I didn't make any trades. I already did my trade, so I don't need to trade anything else. So what do I have left? Cheyenne, what do I have left?
6 ones.
I still have my 6 ones. We all right over there? Do these equations look exactly the same? No, but they are worth the same. The expanded way is great. Most of you are masters at that already. I want to challenge your brain to become masters in a crazy new way. Because this really shows me, if you can do the crazy new way, that you really understand hundreds and tens. We good with that? Okay. So here's our new number. It's a big 4-digit number, I know. 2,347. Make a key chart. Eva, write on the back of your paper, thank you. Make a key chart. One side, I know I said standard way, but I really like expanded way better. And the other side, you're going to call it Crazy New Way. Notebook should be open, Natalie. Before you get started, eyes up here, I'm going to remind you how to draw the thousands cube. Remember, you start with a square, just like a hundreds flat. You find the middle, and you draw another square. And then from there, you just connect the corners. Easy peasy hundreds or thousands cube. Should that take you 8 billion years?
Yes.
No, quickly draw and move on. Alright, right now in your notebook, I want you just to do the expanded way. Just the expanded way. If you feel comfortable, you can move on to Crazy New Way. But right now, everyone's doing expanded standard way. Alright, most of you have finished expanded way. Let's quickly walk through it so I can give you some time. If you are comfortable with Crazy New Way, you can ignore me. But if you need a little bit help with Crazy New Way, I want you up here with me. How many thousands did I need to draw? How many thousand cubes? Dylan, how many of those did I need?
2.
I needed 2. There's 1. And there's 2. My equation would then start with 2,000. Okay. Eva, what was next? We just talked about this. We've done our thousands. Now next is
2,000.
we've already done 2,000. What comes next?
100.
The hundreds. And how many did we have? So how many hundreds flats am I going to draw? Perfect. So now I have 2,000 plus 300. What comes next? Done my thousands. Done my hundreds. Brian, what's next? 10. How many of those do I need?
4.
I need 4. I'm going to draw my 4 tens rods. 4 tens, aka, what's that called?
40.
40. Very good. Lastly, Courtney, what's up last? 1s. How many do I have? 7. That means I just write 7. We're going to take a pause here before we go to lunch and recess. If you are comfortable making Crazy New Way, again, you can keep ignoring me and keep working on your Crazy New Way. If you still need a little help on the Crazy New Way, stay with me and we'll trade out one of these things for something else. We'll make a trade and then write a Crazy New Way. Alright, and thinking about doing some kind of new way. Sit up, please, table 2. We could do a couple of different trades. What's one trade that we could do? If you don't know, look back in your notes. What's one trade we could do? Lucy, what's one trade?
I traded 1,000 for 100.
So she traded 1,000 for how many hundreds? Yep, 10 hundreds. I'm gonna draw like this. So you can So 1,000 is worth the same amount as 10 hundreds. So Lucy made that trade. What's another trade you could make? Virginia, what's a trade that you could make?
100 for 10s.
For how many tens?
100.
Not 100. For 10 tens. There you go. Here, my tens rods. For 10 tens. And what else could I trade?
The 10s for 1s.
I could trade. How many ones would I get if I traded 1 10 for 1?
10 ones.
I would get 10 bits. Could I do crazier trades? I really wanted to spend the time making a bunch of that.
Yeah.
What's a crazy, like really crazy trade if I had all the time in the world that I could do? Zoe?
Trading 1,000.
1,000 for what? How many ones? Yeah, so we could trade in a whole thousands cube for 1,000 ones. Could you make that trade? Yeah. Would that probably be your best option?
No.
Probably not. You might be sitting there for a little while. What else could you do? Tajir, what else could you do?
You could trade 1,000 from 2,000. You can take away one.
Well, if you take it away, is that really trading it out?
But you can trade it for.
So we've talked about how you can trade 1,000 for 10 hundreds flats. We've talked about how you can take 1,000 and trade it for 1,000 ones. You know what else you could trade 1,000 for?
10 rods?
How many tens rods?
100.
Beautiful. So I can trade 1,000 for 100 10 rods, and that would be worth the same amount. So I think we're going to just pick one trade, and I think most of you picked 1,000 being traded for 10 hundreds. So that's the one that we're going to work with. Okay, if you did something else, that's totally fine. Just make sure you're late. Just make sure that you only did one trade. You don't trade in every single column. All right, so if I have 2,000, that's how many I did in my standard way, that's how many is in my number. But I'm going to trade one of my thousands for hundreds. How many thousands am I actually going to draw? So I started with 2, but I'm going to make one of them trade. So how many am I going to actually have to draw? Phelan? I started with 2, but now I'm trading one of those out. So how many do I need to still draw? 1. I still have 1,000s cube. Now remember, I made that trade. I traded 1,000 for some hundreds. How many hundreds am I now drawing, Aiden? 10, because that was my trade. So I'm going to go ahead and draw my 10 hundreds, which was my trade for the thousands cube. Am I done drawing hundreds?
No.
No, I just drew the ones for my trade. What else do I need to make sure is in there? McKenna, where are my other hundreds? So I drew 10 hundreds to replace my thousands cube. But I think I have some more hundreds to draw. I have 3 more. I have 3 more hundreds that I got to make sure get on the page. Now I'm getting a little ahead of myself. Let's back up and write our equation. We only have 1,000, so we write 1,000 plus, we got a lot of hundreds. Let's skip count by hundreds to see how much we have. Ready? Skip count with me. 100, 200, 300, 400, 500, 600, 700, 800, 900, 1,000. 1,000? 1,000. 1,100, 1,200, 1,300. Am I done?
No.
What do I have left? Gabriella, is there a reason that your book is out? Is this math lesson boring you? Is reading more important than what I'm saying? That's rude. Don't do it again. Thank you. Damien, what do I have next?
What? Of the 10 rods?
How many 10 rods do I need to put in there?
4.
4. Could I make my 10 rods a trade? Yes, but I've already traded one thing, so I don't need to make it too crazy. I could, But I've already done one, and that's enough. So I'm going to put my 4 10 rods, aka 40. And then lastly, Eva, what's the last piece of my number that I have left?
7.
The 7, what? 7 tens, 7 thousands.
7.
Tatum.
7 1.
7 ones. I'm going to draw my 7. Does this make sense? Most of you, I'm really happy that you can do the standard or expanded way. That's awesome. Good place to start. I want to challenge you and to start thinking about how to do it a crazy new way. It's like a brain challenge. Okay?